Need a last-minute card that will work for any occasion? Stay tuned to learn how to make super easy pop-up cards. Welcome back to ChriSTEAM! For anyone who's new, I'm Christine, and you can learn a little more about me and this channel by checking out the video linked up here in the eye. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when another video is up. And with that, let's get right into today's video. Today, we're making a super easy pop-up card that's great for when you need a last-minute card for a family member or a friend. All you'll need to make this card is paper. This can be cardstock, construction paper, colored paper, or just some regular printer paper, which is what I'll be using today. You'll need a writing utensil. I'm using markers today, but crayons, colored pencils, pens, or just a regular pencil will work just fine as well. You'll also need scissors and either tape or glue. I like using tape because it's easier to work with, especially if you're making this card last minute, and when you're done with the card, you won't be able to tell whether or not you used tape or glue, so you might as well make your life easier. The last thing you'll need is some colored paper like I have here, or some more white paper that you can draw on to make a fun pop-out part of the card. The first step is deciding how big you want your card to be. You can fold it in half once like this, and make sure that you're lining up the corners so that you get a nice even card that's nice to look at. The first option is this size, where the card can either be vertical and opened like this, or horizontal and opened like this. Or option 2 is to fold it in half one more time, again making sure that you line up the corners, to make a slightly smaller card. This works really well if you have a smaller gift to give someone, that way the card isn't too big. At the end of this video, I'll show you some examples with all types of card sizes and orientations, but I'll show you the step-by-step of making the simplest card size, which is the larger one. So we start, again, by folding the paper in half once. Now you have to decide if you'd like your card to be vertical or horizontal. I chose horizontal, but again, I'll show you examples of how to do all of them at the end. A key thing when making pop-up cards is to always make sure that you're cutting against the folded side, because if you cut along one of the open sides, you won't be able to make a pop-up card at all. Step 3 is to take your card, again making sure that you're cutting against the folded side. Get your scissors, and cut 2 lines about 1 inch long and 1 inch apart. You can cut these lines anywhere along the folded side of the card, it's totally up to you. If you'd like a bigger pop-out, then you can cut wider or deeper lines, but those are slightly more difficult to cover, which I'll talk about later. For the next step, you want to turn the card around and open it up. Now push the part you just cut through the middle of the card and then grab it from the other side and pull it towards you. Pull it all the way over so the card closes and then creases to make new folds. You'll actually be able to feel a little bump under the top of the card, so just push to make the creases so that when you open the card back up, the pop-out stays nice and sturdy. Step 5 is to decorate the pop-up you just made. This is where the colored paper comes in. I like to use colored paper simply because it can look a bit cleaner, since you won't have any coloring marks, but you can use whatever materials you have or want to use for this card. Some examples of what you could put on your pop-out are a heart, maybe if it's Valentine's Day, or a sun to wish someone a happy day, or a wave for summer occasions or for someone who likes the beach. You can make grass to celebrate spring, a balloon for someone's birthday, but those are just a few of the ideas that I came up with while making this card. You can make whatever fits the occasion you're making the card for, or for whatever the person you're giving the card to likes. Now that you have some fun shapes, it's time to attach them to the pop-out either with tape or glue. If you're using tape, you don't need all that much. Just fold about 1/3 over itself and then the other third over itself again. This makes a little loop or ring of tape with the sticky side on the outside. And now just stick it right onto the bottom part of the pop-out. Make sure it's stuck on all the way so that you don't risk your pop-out falling off later. If you're using glue, simply add glue to the same place we're putting the tape. When you go to stick on your shape or design, you want to make sure that you don't go any further than the bottom of the pop-out fold, because otherwise, when you go to fold your card, the shape will get folded with it as well, which doesn't look the best. So, to avoid that, just line the bottom of your shape with the bottom of the pop-out fold. Then you can close the card and the shape won't get folded at all. You can even add some more decorations to your shape after sticking it to your card like I'm doing here. Just make sure to get your pop-out folded properly again after you draw anything on it. Step 7 is covering up the gap we created by cutting and folding out part of the front of the card. Use another shape to cover up this so that the card doesn't have a gap on the front. Just make sure that whatever you're using to cover up the gap is big enough to actually cover up the gap completely. For this step, you barely need any tape, just a very small amount on either side of the gap. all you have to do is customize the card for your friend depending on whatever occasion it may be. Here's a quick tip. Whenever you're coloring the edges of a paper, make sure to get something like another piece of paper or a newspaper to put underneath so you don't color on your table by accident. For a smaller size card, make sure you're cutting against the completely folded side and not the side that's only partially folded. For a vertical card, you can put the pop-up on the top as opposed to on the side so that when your friend opens the card, they can see the shape right on the top and it's not hidden over to the side. This week's quote is from Mr. Rogers and fits right in with what we're doing today. Imagine what our real neighborhoods would be like if each of us offered, as a matter of course, just one kind word to another person. Today I showed you just how simple making a card can be, and even if it takes you a mere 5 minutes to make one, it could make the person who you give it to's whole day. With that being said, I encourage all of you to take the advice Mr. Roger gives us and make even just one kind card for a family member, friend, or a neighbor to brighten their day. So here are all the cards that you can make. There's the large horizontal option like this one, and here's a slightly simpler version of that type of card. Then there's the large vertical card, and one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that you can leave this just as a square or a simple shape, and then draw something like a landscape on it if you'd like. And then there are the smaller cards. Both of these examples are vertical, but you can always make them horizontal as well. This one is cool because when your friend opens it, they can position the balloon so that it looks like it's coming right off of the page. If you enjoyed making pop-up cards with me today, give this video a big thumbs up and share the video with a friend who might like it. See you all next week!